My name is Matt Shane.
My name is Jim Holyoak.
And we're two artists doing an exhibition at Open Space in Victoria, BC. We had this idea for the project a few years ago, and then it's taken a few years to materialize. But the basic idea is that we hiked the West Coast Trail for 8 days, and we, before doing that, went to the Bamfield Marine Center and did a field trip there. And while we were hiking the trail, we were doing sketches and taking notes and taking photos. And then we came back to Victoria to Open Space at the end. And we covered all of the walls of the gallery with paper, and now we're drawing a big landscape, a sort of continuous landscape that goes all the way around, and it's based on our experience of hiking the trail. So a lot of the imagery that we'll be working with, all of the imagery comes from the trail, but we'll also be kind of expanding on that and changing it and working together to make it a sort of different kind of space.
A little about the West Coast Trail. It's a 75-kilometer trail from Bamfield to Port Renfrew, or vice versa, depending on your direction. And it follows the west coast of Vancouver Island the entire way. You're either hiking in the forest or on the beach. It has been traveled by the 3 First Nations that live in the area and have lived there for over 5,000 years. The Ditidat, Pachidat, and Huayat nations, who are all still living there. But it was also a telegraph line by the British colonials created this. And it was revamped as a life-saving trail. It used to be called the Life-Saving Trail because that area is called the Graveyard of the Pacific, where so many ships crash. Sailors that survived to make it to shore would still often die from exposure to the elements without any easy way to get out of the forest. It's hard enough now, but there's a lot of infrastructure. There's over 100 bridges, around 100 bridges through there, lots of boardwalk and tons of ladders. So you actually spend a lot of the time using your arms as well, climbing on things.
The landscape that we're doing is kind of a metamorphic one. We'll have areas where what looks like a tree is becoming liquid or floating up into the atmosphere. All of these things are kind of in flux all the time, and that's what we're hoping to express. And we also do that through the materials that we use. Sometimes we'll use charcoal, which is a solid. Sometimes we use India ink, which is a liquid. And sometimes we're spraying water, which is more like a gas. So all of these things are interacting all the time.
I think that there are worlds within worlds. This is really true. If I get down on my knees in the moss and look at a banana slug for a while, I start to notice there's teeny tiny little insects that are crawling all over the slug. And it will start eating rotting stuff. Yeah.
There's a joy in doing that as well that I think probably for both of us goes back to childhood. Coastal BC forests in particular have figured heavily in our memory, and that represents a kind of home for us. It definitely does for me. And I find myself, when I'm not sure what to draw, I kind of dip into this memory bank, and that's what's there. Big trees, mountains, the sort of rocks that you'll see around the beaches there, and salal and foliage, stuff like that.
Baby banana slug. Travel forth